of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will start the meeting with any public. I have a sore throat and I'm starting to lose my voice, so I was like, I don't want to try and talk over that. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on something that is not on the agenda, subject to a public hearing? I don't see anyone in the Zoom audience that has their hand raised. Okay, all right, so then we will move on to a discussion that we had picked up earlier this year about an IMA, intermunicipal agreement with Suffolk County and the Planning Commission on when we refer things to the Planning Commission. And at the time, we couldn't get consensus on the board to sign the IMA. We, I guess, have since the only town, even there are no more villages, is my understanding, who have not signed an IMA, so that we take back local, or designate things as local jurisdiction. But I will let, we have, I don't see Sarah on, Sarah Lansdale, but we do have Joseph Cenzano, and John Corll from the Suffolk County Planning Commission here. So I will turn it over to you to do a better job of explaining than I am doing right now.
Thank you, Supervisor, Town Council, for allowing us and inviting us to speak at your work session today. I am Joe Cenzano from Suffolk County Department of Economic Development and Planning. I'm the Director of Planning, and we have our commissioners may join us via Zoom, and we have also John Corral from our Planning Commission. We are here today to discuss a proposed intermunicipal agreement, as the supervisor mentioned, between the county and town of Shelter Island regarding the General Municipal Law 239, which is the referral process. We have currently 9 out of the 10 towns, and we have 20 of 32 villages signed. We recently had Belport just last month sign their intermunicipal agreement. So we're going door to door, if you will. And just discuss the agreement. And with that, I'm going to have John Corral do a short presentation that we prepared for these types of events. And then we'll come back for some questions and more details. John?
Hello, thank you again for having us. I'm John Corral, one of the staff to the Planning Commission. And we have a PowerPoint presentation. And this is just a kind of a refresher. I did speak earlier this year with you, and this is just kind of an overview and some of the details of the intermunicipal agreement, just for your information, and then we're here for questions. Do the next slide. So this is an overview of what this presentation will be. We'll just say, what is this Suffolk County Planning Commission IMA? And then we'll talk about the types of applications that are currently required to be referred to the Planning Commission. And then just an overview of what this IMA actually will do, and then how we're working to make this IMA more effective. So do the next slide. So what the intermunicipal agreement is New York State General Municipal Law allows Suffolk County Planning Commissions to develop intermunicipal agreements with the towns and the villages to say that certain items are of local concern but may not be intermunicipal or county-wide concerns, and to identify those types of actions that are then not required to be referred to the Suffolk County Planning Commission. And the intent of it is really to kind of streamline the process between the towns and the commission, so that the town staff doesn't need to send kind of the minor issues that the planning commission really wouldn't be commenting or reviewing on, and then to also save the county's planning commission's time and efforts in not reviewing these types of these types of actions that really would just kind of go back as a local determination of whether the intermunicipal agreement was in place or not. So, I'm sorry, if you go one back. So what, this general municipal law sets up the types of applications that are required to be referred to the Suffolk County Planning Commission. So this is what is currently required to be referred, and this is just an overview of those types of actions. So the comprehensive plan, zoning ordinances, special use permits, site plans, variances, subdivisions. All of these types of actions are required to be submitted to the Suffolk County Planning Commission. And if you could go to the next one. They're required to be referred if they're within the Planning Commission's jurisdiction. So this is a map that's up on the Suffolk County Planning Commission website of the jurisdiction of when an action is required to be referred. So, and this is available so you could check it out. It was Shelter Island being kind of a unique geography and where you're located, a lot of the town is required to be referred. So if you're 500 feet within a water body, 500 feet within county or state parkland, 500 feet within a state road, any of those actions, whether subdivision, site plan, change of zone, if you're in those locational jurisdiction, they are required to be referred to the Planning Commission. The next slide.
It's state road, not county roads?
Yeah, county roads as well. So in that case, it was a state road, but yeah, county roads are state roads. So within 500 feet, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so this is a copy of the intermunicipal agreement. I think you might have a copy of this. So this was passed by the Suffolk County Planning Commission back in 2009. And it just kind of outlines what the intermunicipal agreement is. And it talks about if it is in effect with the town or a village, the types of actions that would no longer be required to be referred to the Planning Commission. So it's the main one that really is kind of the thing that saves a lot of time, kind of we find on both the town end and the county end, are the variances associated with single family homes. So that's really been the thing that the Planning Commission felt. And I'll talk, there's an exception to this, but in general cases, those are the types of things that really don't tend to have a local, countywide or inter-community concern. And for that reason, it's put on the IMA. Other things are change of use where, but the use doesn't require an increase in parking. Additions of less than 1,000 square feet and site plan applications less than 5,000 square feet. So this was something that the Planning Commission passed in 2009, and the last resolves, back then we had a number of municipalities that had kind of joined on, but our final resolve lets us continue to work to try to get additional municipalities to join if they would like to. So at the very end of last year and then the start of this year, we made kind of another effort to reach out to the municipalities that hadn't joined to see if they'd be interested in joining now. And that's, I think, why we're again in front of you. Can you do the next slide? This is just some data and kind of to show the success of the IMA. And basically,
It was good slide.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there's this, okay, oh, sorry. So this is, I skipped ahead. These are the types of actions if the IMA was in place, and I actually just went through it basically in the resolution of the things that wouldn't be required, but there are exceptions where something is directly adjacent to the shoreline, directly adjacent to a park, or if it's gotten a secret positive declaration where the town feels that it would have a potential large impact, then these projects would still be required to be referred to the Planning Commission. Okay, and this was just some data showing that it has, our data shows that in 2008, before the IMA was in place, the county overall received over 2,000 referrals from all the different municipalities, and now it's down to about 1,000. And kind of the vast majority of the reduction has come from the single-family home variances no longer being submitted. And this is just a list of the municipalities that have joined. We've had, it's this year, 7 villages that we've been able to get to join to the IMA as well. And I think that's the last. Oh, and this is just what we're doing to try to keep making it more effective, reaching out to the municipalities that haven't had it, but also some of the, it's been in effect for a while, so some of the municipalities, we're kind of reminding them again of the provisions. So thank you, and I think Joe's going to add a little more.
One of the things that we're also working on is we have an Appendix A that is basically our application referral form. And what we've heard from some of the villages, especially that they would like to have an option to refer it, even if it is covered by the IMA, if there's a concern that they may have. So we're adding a category for that, so that if you do sign the IMA and you have an application that you feel should get additional scrutiny and really want to refer that application to us for that review, we have that option available. And some of the villages have really asked for that, especially that maybe they don't have the staff to review the application, or they just feel like some may rise to a level that it needs additional review. So we're adding that to our referral process, so that gives an extra layer, just in case the town or villages have an application. As John mentioned, the majority of these applications that we see are generally variances to the zoning board of appeals for existing homes, for maybe a deck or a pool or a side yard, rear yard setback. We see them primarily, and most of those are done almost ministerial in nature from our end, and frankly probably from your end as well. That those applications are traditionally approved, especially for single families, if the variances are not, large percentage variances. A lot of times those are adopted, and we issue them primarily as what we call local determination, which gives it back to you, the town board and the zoning board and the planning board for your action. So we try to make it simple. We try to make it a little streamlined and make it easier for the folks in the towns and villages, and also for the planning staff at the Suffolk County Planning Commission. Certainly I'm here for any questions you may have.
We're the last town. The villages, there were a number of them, 12 or 14 or something like that. What are their objections or delays or?
So it's just really information. So again, we're going to those villages and providing the same presentation to those villages to get them on. A lot of times the villages, their administrations change, and then they're not aware of this type of IMA. So we go to them, and we also, even when they do change administrations and they do have the IMA in place, we go back to them and say, hey, we have this in place. So it saves you guys some time on your end. Before I was the director, I worked at the village of Port Jefferson. So I'm pretty familiar with small government as well as large government. So it does streamline the process. It is intended for that purpose.
As far as the new optional clause,
Yeah.
where the projects can be submitted, if we do submit it on that optional basis, you will review it, or is it
Yeah.
still? Okay.
No, we review every application that's referred to us. So whenever it comes into us, we're gonna look at it, we're gonna review it, and depending on the application itself, we may issue a local determination, or the other option is presenting it to our full commission for their for a public meeting. It's not a public hearing like you guys have. It's more of a meeting, because we're more of a recommendation body. Our commission provides guidance and recommendation to the towns and villages. So The only time that we play a significant role is, for instance, if we denied at our commission level, then you would have to, if you wanted to approve it, you would have to override by, a majority, a vote. So you'd have to override Suffolk County Planning, and then you would have to also provide reasons why you overrode Suffolk County Planning. It's pretty rare that that occurs. It's pretty rare when the Planning Commission denies an application, frankly. We either approve with comments or conditions, and then we send it back to the jurisdiction for their consideration.
The caveat that you added now, you have that option to kind of ask for review.
Absolutely.
That's something new.
That's something new, but we always had that where the Suffolk County Planning Commission is always available to the towns and villages for guidance, because that's technically what we do. So even if you had something that you wanted us to look at, we're always available for that. So that was always an option, but we're making it an option specifically for the IMA. If you had a site plan, for example, that was under 1,000 square feet, but it rose to your level of concern or community, overall community engagement, that could still be referred to us under this consideration for additional review.
Okay, all right. No, that's good to know. That kind of changes my outlook on this, the IMA, to have that option available. I just felt that we could be excluded from something that we really wanted an opinion on.
Right.
So you've alleviated that.
We understand that concern, and that is something that, as I said, we're always available for those types of referrals for consultation or referral for information.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Supervisor, thank you.
Let me just see if there's any questions from the audience. Anyone in the physical audience? Anyone on Zoom? And we do see Sarah's.
Commissioner is on. Maybe she has a word.
Just wanted to thank the supervisor and members of the town board for making time today. Sorry I wasn't able to make it in person. I'm so glad that Director Sanzano and John Corral were able to make a informative presentation. And thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
town board. Thank you, supervisor. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The next item on the list is a discussion regarding community housing, whether we're going to go with a request for proposal or a request for qualifications. And just Meg, you had created a document
Yeah,
for
I
us.
sent out an email to everybody. I kind of put the two options side by side. We had received the sort of draft RFP from the housing board, and the financial side of it looks really good. The land lease part looked good, but then when I really got into the plans, I realized that there were some things missing. Like, we were going to put out a full bid package. We needed more thorough plans. We also needed thorough site plans. We needed a lot of work to go into it still. And so then I reached out to Curtis, who is the director of Southampton's housing project, and
Curtis Highsmith.
Curtis Highsmith, thank you. I was blanking on his last name. And he explained to me that what they literally just last week put out an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications instead of a request for proposals to do the construction. And so the RFQ has different requirements, and it kind of gives you a different set of skills. So the RFQ is essentially asking for someone who specializes in building community housing to get on board to help us figure out how to build community housing, which seemed like a pretty decent option for us, considering we haven't tried this since the 90s and a lot of things have changed. It also helps help you work through all of the HUD requirements and the paperwork that goes along with that, grant funding. So what we need to do is kind of pick a path and give solid direction to the Community Housing Board on which way we think it should go. So I put an example from East Hampton on one of their RFPs to help create a subdivision for their housing, and the example RFQ from Southampton on what they just put out in order to help them find a developer to help them build housing. So I was hoping you guys could look at both of them and see what you thought would be the best fit for us moving forward, so we can give the housing board some direction on which direction we think would be the most effective.
I think that I think the RFQ is a better option for a couple of reasons. One being, we had concerns about design build and making sure that we were adhering to the laws on having a clear distinction between who does the design work and who does build. There's New York State laws associated with that. So I think that RFQ works better in that. Also, because of that, we want to build this affordably. And if we bifurcate it in such a fashion that we've got the RFQ and somebody helping us to conduit, we are not subject to the same WICS laws, and that will keep the cost of construction down and therefore keep the rents affordable. Those were two legal kind of concerns that we had.
I know a concern that the housing committee had was that you're giving up some control over the design aspects of the construction, but looking into it further, any designs that get proposed by the developer have to be approved by the board. They have to be approved by the housing board and by the town board. So we wouldn't have something built that we didn't approve of or we didn't like. So we can have those conditions in the contract. So we're not giving up total control over what happens. We really do get to guide and choose the style we like, the type of housing we like. But now we have a partner in the project who can do all of the architectural designing, the site planning, people who have experience doing that.
It's almost like a house situation. So it's consider, if you own a piece of property and you hire a builder, you get to ask them to build the house you want. And the RFP was not the right vehicle for this. And this is a very positive switch that will be helpful.
I also think it'll have a quicker turnaround time because we won't be trying to reinventing the wheel.
I think the RFQ is a better choice. I agree. I mean, this is a new entry for us, and I feel more comfortable with the RFQ myself.
Do you want to task the Community Housing Board to proceed with
I would say.
pulling the RFQ together then?
Yes.
Okay, so they'll pivot, although a lot of what they've already done for the RFP is useful in the RFQ.
It should be an easy transition.
Yeah.
Considering they've already done so much work.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, good. Are there any questions from the public on this one? In the Zoom audience? Okay. Just gonna pause for a second. Kevin, are we still having the same video issue that we had during the budget? Okay, good.
Any video issues?
Yeah, apparently my face was showing up only for the, or side by side on the budget session. So instead of having the whole town board, there's just going to be me.
That's why my cat.
Yeah,
Supervisor, buck stops there.
yeah, you don't need to like stare at me for 3 hours.
Okay.
All right, the next item is the student memberships at the Fit Center. a request had been made at our last work session 2 weeks ago by the school that we provide memberships to students of the school for no cost as opposed to the $50 that we currently charge them. And Albert, you weren't here. We talked about it a little bit. I don't know if you had a chance to go back and watch the tape on it.
Yes.
So just to get our sense of what our comfort level is. During the 2 weeks, I did have someone reach out from the community who reiterated that the students do have exclusive use of the Fit Center from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4:30 when it reopens. However, someone who has tried to check in a couple of times, they're not using it. The students don't seem to be using it from 2:30 to 4:30. So the suggestion was made, why not open it up to the public a little bit earlier? And that could be kind of an exchange for free membership for the students. Just tossing that out there.
I think they might have, say, a class, but the kids have the option to, before 8 a.m. to go in. The kids have an option before 8 o'clock a.m. to go in early and use the gym as well. So I'm not sure that still holds, but I know once upon a time that was. So if you open earlier, then the kids are not going to be able to go in the morning.
Well, it's open from 6 until 8. And then I have seen students when I'm there at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
At least during some sports seasons.
So it's
The
open
kids
to
are there.
anyone from 6 until when?
6 until 8, and then 4:30 until 8 or 8:30. And then on
So
the weekend, and then on
between
weekends.
8 and 4:30, it's just for students.
Yes. Mhm. So,
So all the students already had free access from
Yeah.
8 to 4,
Mhm.
4:30.
but
And will it work logistically to open it to the public before?
we'd have to check that. But when, school, closes, ends at 2:30. So we could negotiate that. I think the original thinking was that sports teams would be using it from 2:30 to 4:30. And so to keep, to give them access.
Right.
But I just toss that out there. If we're just looking at a little
I like that.
tweaking.
Yeah, I like that idea, opening it 2 hours earlier to the public. That's
Mhm.
good. It's a good thing. If we can look into.
So they have access now from
From
12 to 4, actually.
From
8
8
until,
a.m.
they can
till-
use it as
So, but now it's 12 to 4 that the students have access
8 to 4.
to the Fit Center. Yeah.
Well, it's free for the students from 12 to 4:30. That's what I'm getting from Bethany.
Right.
They don't have from 8 a.m. until 4:30. They have from 12 o'clock to 4:30. That's the school's designated time for using.
So what happens between 8 and 12:30?
So now you're proposing from when, from,
Well, I just tossed it out there. I mean, the issue on the table is free membership or a continued reduced membership fee. And I just thought if we're going to get free, maybe we could open it up to the public a little bit earlier if the school hasn't been using it from that 2:30 to 4:30 timeframe.
what, the question was raised is what are the legalities about the town allowing use of the premises without a fee? Is there any legalities involved in that?
Stephen?
That was asked.
Yeah, so there is a constitutional prohibition on us giving free quote unquote services or use of our property. So, but in this particular case, there is a contract, right, Supervisor? And we benefit from that contractual obligation. So it's something that arguably could have been negotiated and put into that contract. Because again, there was a quid pro quo. But generally speaking, we can't give anything for free. So it's something that we may want to discuss amending the contract and maybe including it for free in there. And I think then we can get around the constitutional prohibition.
And that contract is up at the end of this year, so we do need to work on that, Stephen.
Okay.
In the meantime, what if we were to reduce it to a nominal rate, like $1? You know what I mean?
It's
It's
more
like,
trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, I was gonna I'm good with free, except I do want them to continue to fill out the application.
well, they have to fill out the
Because we
application and
need
the
to
waiver
control-
paperwork, and the
yeah.
parents have to sign off.
Yeah.
So they'd have to get a
Mhm.
fob or a card or something.
Yes.
Um.
The rec commission,
I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Albert.
no, just a question. The rec commission kind of said that there's nobody in the fit center from their end, from 12 to 4:30.
It didn't come from the rec commission, it came from a couple members from the public who wanted to see expanded access to the
No, I
public.
mean, they don't have any supervision responsibilities during those hours, the rec commission.
Correct.
Mhm.
So are they going to provide supervision?
Oh, if we
School.
extend.
Yeah, if it's open
Oh, from.
to the students
Oh,
from 12 to 4:30.
yeah, then we would have to actually expand the,
Well, I mean, no, because it's still the school's responsibility to monitor it between 12 and 4:30 when the school has exclusive use of it.
Mhm.
In all the other hours, that's when the students would be coming, is when the rec commission runs it and when they're already present. So we wouldn't have to change our hours, they would just be able to come in and use the facility like normal.
are you talking about the students? can come
The
in?
students.
Yes.
Would be
Oh,
able
yeah.
to come
Yes.
in whenever it's open for the public.
But there'll be a slight change. If we back the hours up to 2:30 for the public,
Then
then
we
the 2 hours have to be covered by the
Then
rec
we would have to
department.
cover it by the rec department.
Yeah.
So there's two options. Either you leave the schedule as it currently stands and give the students free access, and the school can choose to put someone in from 12 to 4:30 to let the students use it for free. Or we could modify our hours, but we have to find coverage, so we have to talk to Bethany and see if that's feasible. Because staffing is always kind of a challenge, so
Yeah, I would certainly like to see the hours extended to the public, the extra 2 hours. If it makes sense, we'll have to ask Bethany. And if we can do it, it'd be great, because there are plenty of people here that I'm sure would like to take advantage of it, from 2:30 on. But only if it makes sense for Bethany.
right,
Mhm.
right. I mean, that's,
That would be an additional cost to us of 40, before benefits and payroll taxes, 40, well, there are no benefits, $4,420.
Add 2 hours for the year.
yes. That's without,
Yeah, and maybe a little bit higher, just say 5,000, just because not all the pay rates are the same.
so we're cutting our income by 2,000 and then adding
Yes.
$5,000 worth of expense,
Maybe
so.
we don't do the 230 or 430.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
But how much does it cost to join the Fit Center? I haven't been a member in 10 years.
It's a very reasonable amount. I'd say it's like,
With a couple like 250, something like that.
I was
yeah,
thinking
Family
60 or something.
65,
Yeah.
I think, for a single membership.
But the students get a year for $50.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about students, but, I mean, if we do extend the hours, what will it take?
Well, you'd have to bring in a new
Mhm.
membership. How
You
many?
increase the membership fee a little.
Yeah, you increase membership fee by what, $20? And that may
Mhm.
cover it?
What are you saying, Ben? $20?
I'm saying if we can increase the membership fee to cover the extra 2 hours
Mhm.
of time, that may make some sense. And the students still get a free pass.
Now, we also get reoccurring requests from like the senior center for free senior memberships and things of that nature. So it's not like we have to think about
The ripple effect.
the ripple effect. It's not just the students. Now we're gonna get a request. So students who don't go to school on the island, but maybe go to private school off island, but live on the island, do they also get free use of the gym? Like, where do we draw a line? Like, how do we delineate?
You really want to know where we should draw the line? I think giving away things for free is not the best idea. That if people pay even a little bit, they tend to behave differently. So if it's not $50, it should be $20. But I'm happy not to die on that hill.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hill.
Like, I can forego the fee,
Right.
but there are those questions
But-
like
but,
you
yeah,
raised,
The
Meg.
questions have to get
So
nailed down.
I would be in favor of putting a timeline on it, just to review. 3 months, let's see how it works out. Let's see if there's any issues, whatever.
Well, we have to redo the contract at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
So why don't we meet with, why don't we meet with the representatives of the school and in connection with that, the contract negotiations, talk about this.
Okay, let's bring them in during work session.
We could do it with the, subcommittee.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I mean, I think, I don't, in essence, have a problem with it, but I just,
Yeah,
any unforeseens, that's all.
right, that's my only point, is you just have to make sure
I
that
would
we
forego the
understand.
fee and just, the paperwork signed out, yes. And the parents sign in, and then the fob is used for entry.
Who's the subcommittee?
Your rec?
I'm rec.
Who else is rec?
Albert's rec.
What's that?
We're on the rec committee, Rachel
You're on the
is
rec
on
committee,
the rec
yeah.
committee.
Oh, so
So
we
does
get,
that, I think we just got voluntold for the,
Yeah, or I could sub in for
once
one.
again, you pull in and get the short straw.
I was gonna say, but I could,
That's fine.
I wouldn't mind
I
subbing
don't
in,
mind
just because
either.
I'm looking at all the contracts that we're
Okay.
reviewing.
All right.
So,
No, that works
I
out
can do
fine.
it.
because I've got
Yeah, no,
two
I-
medical
whatever.
center.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, we have two
That's fine.
medical center contracts to redo, the Presbyterian Church and now this. So that's,
Okay.
like, once we get the budget wrapped up at the end of this week, then my focus is on contract renewals for,
Good.
so we get them in place by the end of the year.
And you got my opinion, so.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. All right, good. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak on this? Anyone on Zoom?
I'd like to. Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, what if, can the school,
State your name for the record.
yeah, Bert Waif, 9 Northbury Road. Can the school opt out of renewing the contract and just say, hey, we don't want the town fit center there anymore?
Yes, they could.
Okay.
Then, but hopefully that won't happen. I know
Right.
that there's a little bit of an insurance push on their side, but I don't think that they're going to just pull the rug out on the contract. If we can eventually move it as we go through facilities master plan and figure out what to do with different town assets, because it was a fundraiser, and we do contribute towards some of the repairs and maintenance. We have a $5,000 a year rent that we pay, and that's going to be used, that money's accumulated and be used for repairing roof that's leaking currently.
Right, but it's up to the school board to enter into the contract with you, and they have a right to renew it or to not renew it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we know where we're headed on that. Next, WQI grants.
I'm
You
gonna
have to
recuse
go.
myself for this, so
Yeah.
just call me when you're done.
All right, so we have 3 straightforward WQI grants. Cook and Sado. And the committee approved $12,000 base grant and $4,000 set aside for well replacement. There's nothing,
Getting both.
yes, nothing controversial there. Craig was the next one, same thing, base grant of $12,000, $4,000 well replacement, that was approved. And Mesnikoff, same thing, 12,000 plus, oh no, well is not required. Oh no, actually, they approved it anyways. That's right, they did, just in case.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it comes up,
Contingency.
yeah.
If they needed it, then it's there.
Yeah, the original application didn't ask for it, but yes. So if we're good with those, we can put those on for Monday night resolution to approve.
What's that bring us to total, do we know?
Yeah.
Random question.
Uh-huh. Hold on just a second. I have a spreadsheet. Always have a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the numbers?
The
That we
number of
Okay,
systems.
so since inception 99 before these three, so we'll be breaking 100.
Right,
So
we should celebrate
Cook and
that.
Sado will be the 100th one approved,
Congratulations.
yes. For a total of $1,351,500. Now, that's not what has been spent and installed, but what has been set aside. 64 have been installed and expended. The next one on this list was Parasec. And what the WQI Advisory Board was looking for was, they have already closed out, they installed, they were over budget considerably, and so they were looking for an adjustment to what was originally given to them.
We weren't granted the maximum in the beginning?
Well, they were in that period, there was a period of time where, pre-pandemic, where we adjusted down the amount of grants that we were paying out to 6,000 from the original 15,000. And then we had adjustments, $2,000 income adjustment. And also if you did a pressurized shallow drain field, anyone who was in that time frame that got the $6,000 grant, we said, if you haven't finished, we will bump you up to the $12,000 grant. And then anybody who had closed out, we didn't make any adjustments, but they came, they had run into a bunch of issues. So the request by the WQI committee reviewed it and said, we would be willing to give them an additional 6,000 to take them from the 6,000 base grant to 12,000. And then an additional 2,000, they had a 2,000 income supplement. They would have been eligible for the well relocation, so they figured they would give them an extra 2,000 for towards the well relocation.
Yeah, okay.
Just see if I have.
So they didn't get
This
six.
is, of those that have not been completed?
This one has been completed, but they just came back with an appeal.
So originally they got 6 plus 2 or just 6?
8,000 in total.
8,000. And now, so it's basically 12 and 4.
Yes.
So this is someone who had the system installed and then they're making an appeal.
Yes.
How many of those exist?
There are a few out there. That is a little bit of the concern, that other people may come back and say, hey, my system
will.
costs. Yeah. I'm just oh, here we go. I'm trying to find Carasic to see their total costs, because they ran into a number of issues. Their installation costs $58,000, in excess of $58,000.
Potential.
No, that's what it costs them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're talking one, I was talking about how many people, the
Oh,
block of people
no.
that are out there
Oh,
that could conceivably come back and look for a.
yeah, I didn't do that analysis. I could.
And you said if they've already been closed out, they're not eligible to come back to us.
Well, no, this is one where they're already closed out, paid, and are coming back for an additional request.
So it could be a lot of people.
I feel like at one point I did do that analysis, but I'd have to go back through my meeting notes,
Okay.
because I was doing it on the fly while sitting in a WQI meeting.
You got a lot on your plate. Can you do that, Amber? Just to
Yeah, I
kind of know
probably can find
what
it.
we're,
Mhm.
just what we're talking about, that's all.
All right, so we'll hold off on that one for Monday then.
Yeah.
And pick that back up maybe on Tuesday, if I can get to it by then. Just let Meg know she can come back. Yeah, I know Judy listens in there.
Yeah.
Give you the signal.
She basically.
Okay. Next on the list is we had a few public hearings at the last meeting, and there was the merger law. So we'll start there. we didn't have anybody who, I left those notes in the other room. I don't recall anybody speaking out against this, so we can go ahead and adopt this on Monday. The next was repealing the pyramid law. And again, I think our only comments were good idea. So go ahead and adopt that on Monday.
Mhm.
Okay. Next one was contractor license review board.
No objection.
Again, yeah, nothing. So we'll go ahead with that one. And now for the more complicated one, the dock law. So we had a number of changes, and they were changes, some that the committee, the WMAC had already started to propose as suggestions as we headed into that public hearing. I think for today's discussion, rather than getting into the nitty-gritty of the changes, because I think we just need to go through them and pull them all together, I think the bigger question is, and I have November 6th as the expiration of the moratorium. Is that the correct date? I know, like, I usually base it on our public hearing.
Check them out. I can't, I'm gonna pull it up now, but I'm sorry.
Okay. So somewhere around November 6th is where the moratorium expires. So step one is to.
Madam Supervisor, I'm sorry, I got the answer.
Oh, okay.
Both.
All right, as you recall, on July 10th, 2024, I appeared at the Suffolk County Planning Commission requesting an extension of the moratorium. It was unanimously approved for 3 months with the condition that we report back in October. And then we enacted our extension, local law based on that. And the moratorium, as included in our actual local law that extended the moratorium, is November 23rd, 2024. Now, the effective date is different, but what controls here is what we included in the local law. So it's through November 23rd, 2024. The next Suffolk County Planning Commission meeting is November 6th. So we'll be able to get back in front of them if we needed to do an extension prior to the moratorium expiring.
Should we get on their schedule now, just in case, for November 6th?
Yes.
Do they have to have the finished product, basically, what we're submitting to them?
No, so
we get on the calendar?
No, because it was just to provide them an update. So I could let them know that we had the public hearing. There was a lot of public comment. And based on that, we may have to tweak it and seek an extension, or if the town board feels we can get a rewrite, a public hearing, and an approval before November 23rd, then you don't have to go back in front of them.
And it's not possible.
No.
Because,
It's a public hearing.
yeah, because we'd have to we'd have to have a draft and set the public hearing on Monday, which is the 28th, and then our next town board meeting after that is November 25th. So that would be after the expiration of the moratorium. And I don't think we can have a draft by Monday.
No. I don't
Yeah.
think we can.
No, not possible.
So
So,
November 6th, we just asked for an extension, but hopefully we'll have more information for them. Maybe a
Oh, yes,
draft
yeah.
of something we're
Yes.
ready to pass.
mhm,
We're just stuck with the public hearing schedule.
correct. But no-
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna object, because, we have empirical evidence that we've been trying. And, we had a public hearing, we had a complete law to disseminate to the public and have them review. And it's just that we're listening to the public and there's some changes that need to be done.
Our other option is to keep working on the dock code, but let the moratorium expire. And because there are people who are starting to ask, because it's been it'll be 9 months,
Yeah.
that would like to have their dock applications heard. So that's sort of the question.
I think we should.
Continue the moratorium or let it.
I think we should continue the moratorium and get this done properly without pressure. We're almost there. We're almost,
Yes.
let's finish.
I would be in favor of having
Setting.
the law in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to set the public hearing to extend the moratorium one more time. We need to get on the planning commission's calendar, Stephen. And if we can just keep working,
And
so
we could possibly, I mean, if we
maybe by November 25th,
we could
set
set
the
a hearing
public hearing.
for December 16th.
Yes,
And if we pass it, we can end the moratorium early.
correct.
Just a matter of-
Yes.
Since we pass it, we're fine. Yeah.
Mhm, yes. Okay.
So do you want to get into any details there?
I've only gotten through half my notes. I kind of need to,
Yeah,
and
Is there anything we want to ask of the WMAC as far as changes that they would suggest? I mean, they were at the meetings, they've heard all the public comment. And is something the town board wants from them?
no, but, I mean, you all had, Bill, you went through some, like adding back meets and bounds and things. You did have a list of things that you were suggesting.
I have a list of things prior to the, to the hearing.
right,
I have a different list post-hearing. And, as far as redrafting, we're really looking forward to hearing from all of you. We need your guidance. You have, we took our notes during the public hearing, and Matt and I have gone over those, but we may have missed some things. I think we got all major points, and I think we addressed just about all of them.
Did you want to discuss it at the next work session as a town board and get your thoughts together as to what you feel the amendment should be?
yeah, I just didn't get through all of my notes. I have a few things that I still want to look up. So I'm just not quite ready to go through my comments yet.
Yeah, and I feel the same way too. Just had in the budget.
I took copious notes during the
Yeah.
hearing, whatever, so, and
Yeah, and also we have the public library's site plan review hearing today. And so I need to fit that into the,
So when would the next work session be that we would address the issue?
let me just look at what's on the agenda so far for next week. Because when I went to go put something on just a few minutes ago, I was like, oh,
So you were like, oh.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was yeah. I pulled, because of the library's public hearing today, I pulled a number of things off the agenda.
let's keep the dot law.
I was,
You see,
gonna say, yeah, I can bump the WAC mission statement for now.
let's discuss that.
Yeah, site plan review application fee can get pushed, CBA fees and billing can get pushed, needs assessment. Kind of want to get into that, but that could go after finishing chapter 10 of the comp plan, WQI policy change, county letter in lieu of the green stamp can get pushed.
Push the
Yeah.
comment too.
Yeah,
It's not like we're gonna finish it by the end
no,
of the
but
year.
we've sort of taken the foot off the gas on that a little bit.
That's because the budget took all the
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah, well, I usually do a time frame to sort of see to not go over too long into meetings, but okay, we'll put it on for next week.
Put the
If
dot,
you
all right,
are,
good. Yeah,
what's that?
A week from today?
Are you all available for that? It's the 29th.
Right. So, check my calendar.
Okay,
10:29?
yes. All right, so we'll put that there tentatively, and if that's bad, then let me know.
Yeah, and any specific issues that come up that are open-ended questions or anything, please.
Yeah.
Shoot them to us so we can
Yeah.
be prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll type up all my notes and suggestions before then, I hope.
Thank you, gentlemen, for,
Yes, thank you for coming today.
thank you for coming and accommodating.
Robert, I rolled this from the last work session 2 weeks ago. You weren't able to be here, that IA mandate local law, that's also one that we have sitting open.
Yes, yeah, I kept things simple.
Mhm.
I
If
didn't,
you're gonna talk about it, I'm gonna leave.
Oh, right.
I just wasn't sure if you had something, so that's why I was waiting. If you have something, I'll be right back.
um, one of the things I wanted to make sure, I wanted to talk to Reed, the building department, to see any issues that they might have had with the current law. Was there loopholes? Was there being pressed? Did they make any recommendations? And they thought that the current law as it stands is not an issue
Mhm.
for them to uphold, enforce, whatever. Basically, the other things are what I had suggested. The last time we talked about this, Amber, you said, with the list of exceptions for the IA transfer, you said that there was somebody, an aunt who was leaving their house or something to that effect. You didn't quite know. I think that list could be extensive. Why don't we just affix a means test to it, rather than come up with a list to encompass everything? We have, what about a married couple that don't have children? Or a single person that doesn't have any children, and they want to leave the house to a niece or a nephew? I mean, we could come up with really countless exceptions. And I think the simplest way is just a means test.
Such as, for example?
What's that?
For example, what do you mean? Like if they have a certain income, or if they're below a certain income, and
Yeah, income, yes. And then, I think the issue seemed to be the expense of it. So a means test is, an income test is something too.
interesting thought.
One of the things that we had sort of talked about was mandating them, but using the means test, which I was suggesting this star exemption.
Yeah.
That would make someone eligible for funding then. So rather than saying they don't have to replace it, still replace it, but let them have access to this, the town grant.
If they're qualified.
Mhm.
What is the star exemption, 250?
It's 250,000 or less, and you have to be a resident. Like this
Have to be a resident.
So the standard would be upgrade on transfer. And if you're under 250, you get grant funding.
Yes,
So basically, upon transfer, pretty much everything gets upgraded.
that's, I
Who's
mean,
exempted? No one.
well, yeah, I mean, that's, but then I would want to increase the grant funding, I think.
Because if
I
you
mean,
start, you get
they are
the
eligible
county.
for the $20,000 from the state account.
Right,
I mean,
yes. And possibly 25,000 if they are income eligible. Because this, I can't remember if it's the state or the county allows for $5,000 more if you're eligible. I'm also working on, just sort of throw something else in the mix, I'm also working on bringing in someone from the county to sort of go through the whole, like, the IA system, the program. Jennifer?
Need that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great
So I
idea,
almost would
just
like
to,
to put
just
this on
to
hold.
explain these systems, how they work, the county program.
I'm trying to, I don't want to say her name wrong. She's available in November to come in. I think it would be helpful.
I think that's good. Any questions, they would be here to answer.
So I'd say maybe we just table this until we have that. I'll get you her name.
The other two things that I had was to, which we already talked about, include business and commercial, not just residences, in the legislation.
My concern there is commercial systems are so much more expensive and so much harder to cite. I mean, it's a good idea, but I think we have to tread very carefully, or else we will kill businesses on Shelter Island by doing this. Because there's distance requirements. If businesses start to touch it, they're not going to be able to make those setbacks. But we could also talk to, her name is Julia Priola.
Okay.
But she can speak to that as well. I'll have to just double check.
You could also engage Joe Fenora to look into this as well.
Yeah, she is a principal environmental analyst for Suffolk County Department of Health Services. And she can provide a presentation on IA technologies and their performance, county standards, and O&M requirements and grant funding programs.
Good.
And she's available November 12th or 19th. So I think the 19th would be the date because we don't have a work session on the 12th.
Okay. All right. The other thing that was suggested to me is that the ADUs that are being built, possibly outfitted with water, whatever, septic, they have to put by county regulation, they have to put in an IA septic system. Do we mandate that the house on the property gets tied into that system? It was suggested that that might be a good thing to do.
The only thing that might have a chilling effect on building an ADU.
What was that, Stephen?
Now, the only consequence that I could see would be it would have a chilling effect on people doing the ADUs if it's much more expensive to have to abandon the septic system that's servicing the house and tie into the ADU one, because it would have to be a lot larger, the one servicing the ADU, to accommodate both.
There is work being done on getting funding for the IA systems for ADUs to try and make it, because that has been a little bit of a holdup on, like, some people, it's just too expensive for them to do. Yeah, it's too expensive for them to do the ADUs. So there is a look to see if we can get this funding. So maybe if it can be tied in, we can get that funding for the septic system on ADUs. But otherwise, I think Stephen's correct.
I mean, I think as it stands now, ADUs are required to put in, if they're outfitted with
Yes.
water, to put in a septic system.
I don't know what the extra cost to tying in the household system, the house into that system, or if the system would have to then go from, say, a SEN 5 to a SEN 7.
And the ADU is not eligible for funding because it's new construction.
Correct.
Right.
But there is some county funding or possibility out there. So let's have this as a list of questions to go through with Julia when she comes in on the 19th.
No, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to have it.
November 19th?
Yes. I have to get back to her. I just wanted to.
Section on the 12th?
No, because Veterans Day is the day before, so town hall's closed on Monday. So this year we looked at any Mondays where things were closed, we tried not to schedule a work session. Except we are the day, like election, the Tuesday after election day to Wednesday.
So just to recap overview, you're suggesting that the mandate be across the board, but if you're under 250, there
I'm
should
just-
be funding for that.
Yes,
But,
and I would want to increase the funding
okay,
from the 12,000, 16,000, whatever we got to not hurt people with this mandate.
I like it. I mean, I like the fact that it's across the board. I love that.
So we have to,
So there are
that
no
means,
exceptions.
right, but then we have to change our policies with respect
That's
to.
okay.
yeah.
Mhm. All right with that.
Because the goal is, if we want to get these in, I mean, it's painful enough for people to have to go through the construction.
Well,
So if,
totally agree. I'm with you. So this is pushed to November 19th.
yes. It'll be after November 19th, because we'll just have Julia come in and answer our questions, and then we will pick up the legislation again subsequent to that.
See if she will take questions from the public as well, if that's possible. I don't know. I mean, because there's so much disinformation now
Yeah.
about the program and about these systems. It'd be good.
Yes, and she actually asked that question,
Okay.
whether or not it would just be a presentation to the town board, or if it would be open to the public, so I will definitely forward it.
No, thanks, yeah. Thank you for good.
Meg can come back in. Okay, board member reports? Didn't bring anything. I have nothing.
You're Leslie.
Missing anything.
Pretty green options, but.
We have a rec committee meeting yesterday. Here we go. They had a very successful summer season. They did a lot of the adult fitness programs were packed. The kids really enjoyed. They had tennis, swimming, archery, open gym on Fridays and Saturdays. There was a colonial sports program, which does soccer, and then there's one that does mixed sports, and that had 20 kids in each section, which was great. They do 1 week of soccer and then 1 week of multi-sport. On the rainy days, they play dodgeball. Right now, there's jujitsu going on. There's the after-school program. There's the open gym Fridays and Saturdays. And the rec department's working with the seniors to do more coordinated lunches. So they're going to try to do a lunch brunch, which is going to be like a prefix menu at Barron's Cove on November 7th. Or they want to get 20 people to go. It's going to be about $45. They're still working out some of the details, so when they know, they'll announce it all. They hit all their revenue goals and they're completely within their budget. They want to try to add some more community trips. Try to, organize like a community ski trip or trips into the city for the holidays, things like that. So that's kind of their plan moving forward. There are 3 new pieces of fitness equipment that they're going to be getting. One is the chin dip, because the one we have is old and outdated. One is replacing an inclined bench that we used to have 2, now we have 1. So this is replacing the one that we lost because it broke. And then the other one is replacing the upper body, essentially the arm bicycle, whatever it's called. So those are some of the equipment pieces that they're going to be fixing and replacing. And yeah, so,
That's in the budget they.
yeah, it's all within their budget. They're right
In
on
this year's
target.
budget.
It's in this year's
I
budget.
signed the purchase order, it was
Yeah.
the dollar store, okay.
And so, other than that, they're gonna have the Senior Fall Festival on October 24th at 12 o'clock over in the community center, and that's their lunch. And then they're gonna be doing the holiday lunch on December 12th, over at the community center too, and that's gonna have the DJ, who's a lot of fun. So those are some fun senior things going on. But that's my briefing. That's all I got.
The CPF committee met Monday. Kind of three takeaways there. Creating and reviewing the establishment of a volunteer stewardship plan and the guidelines to have volunteer stewards. Kind of keeping an eye on preserved property. If there's anything amiss, just they are creating that. They'll submit it to the town board. They have a stewardship plan for Artist Lane that is going to have some typos, some minor changes, but then they're gonna bring it to the town board, submit it to the town board for approval. And then the CPF acquisition plan is moving forward to the creation of a subcommittee to begin work on that, to finalize that.
I guess there was WMAC meeting last night. There was some discussion about the DEC taking over the shellfishing area and prohibiting shellfishing that's right next to Conference Harbor Marina. And they're wondering if that could be reopened somehow, or if the town board could help with that. There is a bulkhead and stone retaining wall being applied for over by Third Bridge. The highway department is supporting this because it's beginning to affect the roadbed. So not Second Bridge, Third Bridge, sorry. And they were trying to decide if they could move ahead with the bulkhead piece of this and not deal with the dock piece yet, but it came in as one application, so. And the DEC permit hasn't come through yet, but everyone is expecting it to, so it was approved, subject to receiving the DEC permit, and hopefully that would solve both problems, not just the bulkhead, but the dock side of it as well, dock needs repair.
It's also an emergent repair too.
Yes. And so, you have anything else on that, Albert?
What's that?
Is there anything else on WMAC?
No, I guess with that application, I didn't, that the town board could hold a special meeting rather than wait and go through the process. That's all.
And we've got
To
that,
expedite it.
yeah, we have that slated for setting the public hearing next. Anything from WAC yesterday? WAC?
No.
Yes, but no.
Yeah, yeah, for today. Nothing new. I mean, I felt like it was nothing new.
Okay, I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, is there anything in the report on green options now? I came in halfway through that meeting.
No, it was really just an update on what information we needed to get back to them. And then, no, nothing too crazy or pressing, I don't think.
Then we will close the work session and open special meeting. And did we all sign waivers?
Started thrown.
All right, so we have 2 resolutions to be read for the special meeting, and then we will have the public hearing for the Shelter Island Library. Albert, do you want to start with the first resolution?
Adopt grant resolution. Whereas the Justice Court has requested permission from the town board to apply for the Justice Court Assistance Program for the year of 2024, and whereas the town board has approved said request, now therefore be it resolved that Honorable Mary Faith Westervelt, Justice of the Town of Shelter Island, is hereby authorized and directed to file an application for funds from the State of New York Unified Court System under its Justice Court 2024 Assistance Program in an amount that not to exceed $10,000, and upon approval of said request, to procure a new Xerox machine in accordance with acceptable procurement practices. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas 62 Winthrop LLC, care of George Kramer, 57 Winthrop Road, has petitioned the town to construct approximately 237 feet of stone retaining wall using 25-pound to 2,000-pound stone placed on filter cloth, construct a new 35 by 14-foot level walkway leading to an existing 35-foot by 24-foot ramp, to construct a 3-foot wide pedestrian access stair as per plans submitted by Costello Marine dated May 21st, 2024. And whereas the town engineer, superintendent of highways, and the town board have deemed this as an emergency repair due to the potential washout of the road, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby calls for a special meeting on Tuesday, November 6th, 2024 at 1 p.m. prevailing time in the Shelter Island Town Hall for all interested persons to be heard of in favor or in opposition to the proposed construction. I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, Tuesday is not the right day.
It's Thursday.
Well,
It's
there's
Wednesday, November 6th.
Wednesday, okay.
Yeah.
Amending that to Wednesday, November 6th. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now we will open the public hearing for the Shelter Island Library site plan review. And I'm just pulling my notes out on this. Okay. Did you read the notice?
PM prevailing time on the site plan application of the Shelter Island Public Library, 37 North Ferry Road, designated as tax map 715-2-35.1 to construct a new library addition of approximately 5,830 square feet to be added to the existing 6,290 square feet library, which will have its interiors altered and renovated.
So as far as reports that have come in, we have from the building department, from the town engineer, Suffolk County Planning Commission. We are still waiting on the planning board and CAC. And the building department and the engineer reports have been posted on the website. So we still need to get planning board and CAC. I know planning board was waiting on the engineer's report so that they could finish up their report. But that being said, you have someone to present. I see Matt Sherman's jumped on. Is he doing the presentation, or Christopher Sepp?
We have Terry Lucas, from the library. We have Chris Sepp on the line who's available to answer questions. We have Matt Sherman. I can tell you that I know one of the questions that has come up is the Suffolk County Department of Health Services. I'll let Chris speak to that, but everything is in with them, and we went into them last week, and we're waiting on a response to them, to those answers to their questions. Other than that, you've all seen the plans, and we're here to answer questions. We are excited to go forward with this. We know that it's going to be a great boon to the community, and we hope to be able to move forward as soon as we get all of the ducks in a row.
Do you have somebody to walk through the plans with the board and the public?
Sure, Chris Sepp, are you on Zoom up there? Saw him on earlier. There he is.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Right, so will you be addressing Chris and asking him your questions? So, Chris, if you will up and we just want to sit down if you need to.
Need a fix me. What do I move?
Need more room up over there.
I was just, maybe this street, I'll put it over here. I don't know, Chris, did you have, anything that you want to do to screen share with, to sort of step us through, or just really go through the project? And just to review for the public, that, the standards of review that we look at are traffic, are all proposed traffic access ways, their adequate number, width, grade, alignment, visibility, et cetera. So, and
Is
we will-
it-
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, is Chris ready to present or what is happening?
Is he having trouble
He's muted.
unmuting?
Yeah, I think he's muted.
No, it's open and a few times it bounced up as unmuted and then muted back. It's not on our end.
Okay. So Christopher, you're still muted. There you go.
Okay, for some reason it was bouncing back and forth. Do you have plans you want to post up here, or would you like me to post plans on the screen?
Can you please post your plans and walk the town board and the public through them?
Sure. All right, we'll open up the site plan overall. Okay. Let me share my screen.
While you're getting yourself ready, Chris, I'll just continue going through the standards of review for the public. After traffic, there's the interior circulation parking that gets reviewed, landscaping and screening, existing development comprehensive plan and prior stipulations. Is the development proposed at scale and density consisting with existing development and comp plan? Natural features and environmental concerns, cultural features, pavement, lighting, drainage, public utilities, and public address for a sound system, handicapped access, energy conservation, and then size.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so currently, this is our site plan that we filed with the planning board and the building department. And it shows, the existing library over to the right-hand side here, which is sitting adjacent to Bateman Road and North Ferry Road. And the proposed library that we're adding is on the west side of the library, taking advantage of grading there that allows us to have more space down on the lower level and then just extending off of those pieces at the back and pushing the floor down at that lower level so we can get an appropriate meeting room on that side of the site. As we improve the site, the parking on the north side of the existing library will be more improved. It'll contain and define the accessible parking, develop a new northern side entrance, a couple stalls for electrical vehicles, and take that paving service and similar to what happens now along the west side of the building, carry a driveway that brings you back down to Bateman Road. In keeping with the library's desire to keep as much space on the west side of the site as possible for the different functions that they do have out there, we are land banking parking. So the parking count when needed, when things are busier, can be hosted on that lawn there, but when things are not, you know, as busy and the stalls are not needed, it remains as grassland over on that side. Around the south side of the building, there'll be an entrance out at grade, similar to how you exit out of the children's library right now on the south side of the building. But at this point, you'll have a terrace out there that allows, you know, patrons to use it, whether they choose to go out there and read, whether it's a space that gets occupied during meetings that may be happening in the program room that are at that lower level. The intent here is to have as much multi-function space on site as possible, as is the intent of the entire library itself, to make things very efficient and be able the library to do a bunch of things for its patrons. I will bring up the first floor plan here. So, well, this is a bit technical. Your existing library exists on the right-hand side of the building, where we will open that up as the active library, hosts some admin offices that are needed up there to support the library itself. As you enter, a circulation desk will greet everybody in the library, whether you're coming in from the east or from the north. And at that point, you know, our intent is just to have this library, you know, you're able to see where you need to go. You don't need a map in here. You can walk over to the left into this large new main library for the adults. A couple of quiet study spaces are here for those who need them. And then in the center of it all, we'd have a new stair and a new elevator to have to get patrons up and down between the floors. Also, on the south side of this library, there's a small boardroom, book room, where we'll line the walls here with some shelves to make it a nice space where people can go in, have a small sit with a group, or you know, conduct a book sale that the library does currently. On our lower level plan, we've carved out spaces for the children's library, where multiple different design elements will happen. Study nooks, small seating, all the collection will be housed for the children there. A craft room over to the left for any programs that they may have. And the young adults get their own library space within the library itself here. It's separated from the rest, but is monitored in that location. A passport room. And as we come down the stairs in the elevator, we come down to our lower level interstitial space before you get into our large library room to the left here that can do different things as the library needs. Okay, let's get you some, sorry. And as we go further, you know, we have our existing library here to the left in the elevation. And in keeping with the style of this building, we didn't want to introduce any new architectural aesthetic, but sort of play off of the existing federal style that is there, with a small connectors piece with, you know, that would have a nice bridge on top made to look like a railing, and then to another, you know, gabled structure here that has a nice main library, nice cupola up top. And as we go around, you know, on the west side of the building, just very clean, have a nice window from the main library and from that lower level that looks out over the grass area to the west. Sorry. And then as we get through to the south side of the building here, this is where it dips down, and we have this nice plaza and these double doors that come out from that, so the library can use that. Again, with the connector kind of repeated on this side to give a nice transition between the new and the old. And as we can also dig down into the existing foundations to bring in some new lights for the young adult library along that space. And overall, I mean, this is, you know, amongst all the other details that we've filed with the town building department planning, you know, it's just a really nice piece to add on here, and you know, welcome any comments anybody has about it, questions, to go through that.
Madam Supervisor?
Can you open the site plan?
Mm-hmm.
Specific question, or you just want?
Yeah, I noticed that you don't really have any screening on the property line between the library expansion and the neighboring residential property. Is that something we can add to this? I mean, it's been a field for a while, but it's not a heavily used field, so there's always kind of been that buffer. I'm just noticing that the vegetation plants and such, I don't really see any screening for that.
Oh, our
side,
vegetative plan?
For the
Sure.
west, yeah.
Yeah, let me bring that one up here. Here. So yeah, we didn't want to drastically alter how the site sits, but understanding, yes, we could introduce some, you know, plantings along the west side here for some buffer. You know, currently it's kind of haphazard what exists over there now.
Right.
You know, if it is a buffer that's needed over there, you know, I would assume the library would be okay with that, and we could add that to the plan.
Yeah, we're happy to add a buffer along that property line.
Yeah, I figured if cars are gonna be pulling in and parking that way at night with the headlights, it might be nice to have something.
Yeah, we'll come up with something that will screen that property and from that
Okay.
additionally.
I mean, I don't really see it necessary on any of the other property lines, just that one.
Right.
Yeah, right now your lots to the north here are all leveled. So as that gets developed.
And not even really in the upper corner, but really just kind of in front of the parking.
So just in front of this area here would be, you know, we could have a thin row of dense plantings that would sit, you know, within that
Kind of
space.
block headlights at night as people come through the parking lot, or if they're parking facing that property.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take care of that.
Since you're here, did you want to address your report at all? You posted on the website, circulated yesterday.
Yeah, I could. By the way, there's one error that I made that I put the wrong number on site coverage. I said 50% allowance for impermeable. It's actually 75%. That's for the building. It's not really relevant, other than I had thought that was why they were right at 50%, and I misunderstood the use of the banked part. Sure. Do you want me to stand? It's pretty straightforward. I think my one concern was whether when they have large events, if they're going to have sufficient parking. We often have that problem in the center, and usually it's solved by just parking in some of the town lots, either you know, and if they're in the evening, then people park at in
Legion.
the Legion or the post office, you know, I don't think it's really a problem. And it seems to me that 46 spaces is, you know, adequate for use as as a conventional library during the day. What else have I got? I was tasked with interior circulation and parking, existing development, comprehensive plan and other stipulations, lighting, public address and sound system, handicapped access, and energy conservation. The one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to check and see about if the fire chief has any problems with that turnaround, given their larger fire trucks. I haven't had a chance to sit down with the chiefs and ask them about that. One thing I noted was that the town generally requires 10 by 20 parking places. These are 10 by 18, which I think is perfectly within range. But there is, for whatever reason, the town specifies a 10 by 20. Existing development comprehensive plan, the proposed site plan in addition seems to me to be keeping with the existing development in the center and does not represent an unreasonable expansion of use. I did check the deeds and I couldn't find any, there are 2 deeds, by the way, for that property at the moment, which is legal. They may at some point want to combine them into one deed. But because those were merged, they still are operating under the 2 separate deeds. I checked, I couldn't find any covenants or restrictions on that. And as far as the comprehensive plan, I'm going to defer to the planning board on that because that's really for their bailiwick. Lighting, all the lighting proposed outside is fully shielded and meets the town lighting code. The public address and sound system didn't seem relevant. It seems to me that's kind of operation. Club or something. The handicapped access, it meets current accessibility code in New York State. We don't have anything more restrictive. And energy conservation, same thing. The plan appears to meet the 2020 state energy code. And again, we don't do anything more draconian than that. My recommendation was just to proceed with the review. I think but nothing jumped out at me that seemed like a red herring.
So you're okay with the 18?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's within range.
A lot of large vehicles parking in there, like trucks and such.
Yeah, it's
so-
mostly gonna be cars. It's not, maybe the occasional delivery, but chances are they'll just pull over inside anyway.
Christopher, can you drop the screen share?
Okay,
Yeah, we'll just pull it up as needed.
okay.
Thank you, then I can see everybody on Zoom if may have a question. We also have Joe Fenora here, town engineer, to just quickly go over his report.
Hello, the scope of my review is somewhat similar to Reed's, but just to clarify, I provided feedback on traffic flow and parking, pavement and plazas, stormwater systems and drainage and utilities. And I'm pleased to say that without conferring with Reed, we largely came to the same conclusion regarding traffic, parking, and traffic flow. The stall dimensions generally fall within recommended guidelines. Larger is always preferred. In the case of this site plan, there's a compromise to be had with taking more space, increasing impermeable coverage. Technical best practice when you're tight on space is to try to fall within an average size on the stalls, but give it to what we call the fairways or the aisles. People tend to prefer more space when backing out of a spot so that they can adequately turn rather than have the extra foot or two on the stalls. Just practically speaking, you don't have work trucks and utility vehicles there. But larger vehicles are more common now. Most people are driving larger vehicles, period. So it is something to consider. Generally, my assessment was that this is the best approach, compromise had on both sides in terms of parking stalls and aisles. I did make similar comments about the land bank parking. I think that's, again, an example of seeking compromise to desire that to be paved, would increase the permeable coverage, particularly if it's not spaces that will be used regularly. I think seeking a permeable coverage parking solution is advisable. I did make a comment that perhaps they should explore some sort of an engineered permeable surface rather than grass. Grass, unmarked tends to make for sloppy parking arrangements where everybody's been to a carnival or festival where people tend to take up more space than they potentially need, or they start to park in a pattern that's not commensurate with how you've laid it out, and you don't get as efficient use of the space. And then there's the inclement weather issue of ice on grass and puddles forming and things. So that's a consideration to be made, but largely that's falls under the best practice recommendation. The pavement and plaza areas really wasn't much to comment about, except that it's commensurate with current use, and there generally are flow routes to facilitate people walking across the parking lot. One other comment about the traffic, though, and parking that's relevant is the total number of spaces probably is a bit on the light side for large events, and considering that the general occupancy of the building is expected to increase, that would be something you'd expect to see parking overflowing beyond the boundaries of the site for large special events. That, however, I understand is something that's commensurate with current use, and using street parking and adjacent municipal lots has been handy for those circumstances. I don't think that's considered best practice, but I think it's just sort of what this is. The Legion lot is nicely positioned across the street to carry accessible cars, so I think that's a suitable compromise here for this particular site plan. There was a small change to the curb cut on Bateman Road, and generally speaking, I think that's an improvement on the traffic pattern. It allows cars to enter Bateman Road, exiting the library with more visibility to the circle. That should provide for a safer exit of people coming out of the circle from 114. Stormwater and drainage systems, generally there was an improvement in stormwater capture. The design criteria exceeds what we typically require for town policy. And for utilities, largely, it was just a recognition that this is on-site sanitary and on-site drinking water system, but that this is a permit pending application. And so, that was largely not reviewed in detail because of its incomplete status. And, I just left the caveat here that if the results of that permit application substantially change the site plan, that actually want to review what those changes are and provide further feedback.
Thank you, Jeff. As I stated at the beginning, we're still waiting on planning board and CAC reports. So as soon as we get those, we'll put those on the website, circulate them. Any other questions from the board before I open it up to the public?
One for me.
Anyone in the physical audience who wishes to speak? I saw Tom and then Mary. So if you come up, Tom Cronin.
Just have one safety concern, and in fairness, I didn't even talk to you about it yet. But the trailers that are in use right now, I picked up my daughter's the other night, and I noticed that all the windows have gates or metal coverings on them. So that's a real dangerous fire hazard. So maybe up west, that's how they keep those trailers, but here, I don't think the kids should be locked inside of a place where some of the exits are chained off. So I honestly, I didn't speak to her about it.
I'll look into it and see if.
And if you'd like my assistance, I'll have it down today.
What should be on the windows instead, right?
Nothing, they're held by screws.
Yeah.
They can be removed, and that's it. Windows will work normally, it's just now you can open a window and you can't get out. Oh, okay.
Do we know if there are emergency escape opening dates?
Right now, you can't open anything. If they're screwed in covers.
Okay, in the windows, there are the two doors, we're not gonna trap anyone in there, but,
Oh, so they're secondary?
Yes,
Yeah.
One of the room has no exit,
No.
from what I believe.
one of the,
One of the inside rooms.
oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, okay, so, I'm gonna call you and ask you,
I'll give
give
you my
me
number.
some ideas, yeah, okay, good,
Thank you.
thanks.
Mary Wilson, you had your hand up next.
Most of you know me, some don't. I am the neighbor across the street from the library. I have no problem with their proposed expansion. I have a major problem because I think their parking, improved parking, is inadequate. And I also have traffic concerns. Some people come up Bateman to go into the back area of the library and turn around. Most people use the 114 access. I really think it's very important that there would be one egress and one ingress into the parking areas. As Meg, you know, with having children, most of you know Albert going to school here with me. We don't have as many kids on Bateman Road as we used to. But the Legion Hall is utilized more intensively at times than others. The library has great events for the kids and things like that, but we also have basketball courts, the ball fields. It's a great playing area for kids. But like I say, I think one way in and one way out, because as it is now, there are large events like the Arts and Crafts Fair. They don't do the country fair anymore either, but we have ball games, soccer tournaments, different things going on over there. It's very hard getting in and out of driveways safely because people park on both sides of the roads if there's no other parking. I wouldn't want to be the person who runs over a kid who, because they are a kid, thinks nothing of walking between cars or just cutting across the road. The thought of that scares the hell out of me, and it should scare the hell out of everybody else. Bless you. Like I say, outside of that, I'm certainly not opposed to it, but I think too, some of the areas that they're showing next to Suzette's property where they were going to do unimproved parking, there should be something, maybe permeable is the way to go. But there is no doubt that once the library is built and they do have functions, they're going to have to handle, and I'm not saying every week, large groups. And the parking shouldn't be on the road. I mean, I'm inclined to talk to Ken Lewis and Jimmy John Reed to see if we could get signs put up saying no parking this side, because it is a hazard. And as the vehicles are getting larger and larger and larger, you can't see around them, you can't see over them. It's a concern. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Is there anyone else in the physical audience who wishes to speak? Is that?
Thank you so much for including me. My name's Suzette, and I live right next to the library, and I have a couple of concerns. Thank you for saying that, because they fly down that road, Bateman. It's just gonna bring more people. It really, all the kids are there, you know, and I think on Google, they have it that that's the way to go. So they really fly down. So I really would like a sign, at least to say slow down, because that's a problem in itself. I just want to put on record that I really hope that this process could be neighborly and friendly, because it hasn't been that so far. I support the library going up. I asked that it be done in a way that's respectful, and that has not happened. The bamboo went down after Terry said it would stay up without discussing it with me, and I got real clear this is not going to be, that I didn't matter. I'm really the one that's the most affected. I put 12 trees up. The kids scream. I complained to many, many, many people. My concern is it's not supervised, that the noise, the kids after school, they play this game, they're not allowed to play in school, and they scream. They're unsupervised, and it's just so disruptive. Now, they're only gonna get closer. It's a problem, okay? Yes, I moved next to the library, but I thought it was gonna be a peaceful place. To me, I live there. I need peace, that's why I live on Shelter Island. I'm a peaceful person. I have 3 spaces. I get along with my neighbors, the people next to me on the other side. There's many things I could complain about. I'm in complete harmony with them. They're kind. They have some issues. I work with them, but I don't want to have any negative energy, another problem on the other side. I support that the community wants the library. Okay, let's do it. But I'm asking, please, to do it with respect and to be neighborly, which I think a library is. So I'm just saying, there's a light, when they do the new thing, I have mentioned there's a light that shines into my bedroom. The kids are unsupervised screaming. And when I asked many people, they said that that's really not the responsibility. But I disagree. I was a teacher for 12 years in New York City. They should be aware of, and it's over and above. It's not just playing. So this is my concern, that this process is going to go on for a long time. I'm the neighbor. Can we do this with respect and neighborly love and consideration? Because I will. Okay? That's all I have to say. So thank you so much. And I appreciate the trees, because I put my trees up. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else in the physical audience?
I just kind of like to respond, and I apologize that you feel that we've been neighborly. The bamboo, that was my neighbor that took that all down. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Address the board, yeah.
Excuse my back. So my neighbor took down all the bamboo without my permission either, so I was not thrilled with that, but it was done. Yeah, there was a big taking of stuff on our property, tearing down a lot of foliage, and I didn't love the bamboo, but it all came down. So nothing I could do about that. We have asked the kids now, when they are being allowed, to go over to Fisk Field to be allowed, when don't let them play behind the trailers anymore, because we know it's very loud. So again, we will do our best to mitigate the issues. As for the parking, I believe, and if Chris is there, he can confirm, I believe he had an idea for the parking that was some sort of permeable surface with grass over it, so that it wouldn't be mud and dirt and turn into a big old swamp. He can confirm that for me. Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Suzette's concerns, and we'll do our very best to be good neighbors. And we understand that the parking is a concern. We do not expect a huge increase in use of the library because we have more space. We don't think people are going to come from off island to come and use the Shelter Island Library, no matter how beautiful it is. But we do know that occasionally we have larger events. We have a Friday night dialogue, or we have a town meeting about something, or a local meeting about something that draws more people. And that's really the need for the extra parking spaces. And in those cases, I think what's happened was what will always happen, as you say, people will end up parking at the Legion, and because they used to park along the edge of Bateman. Actually, that's where we're having to park our cars now, because there's not room in the parking lot. So, I think that if we had a permeable surface, that for 90% of the time, the parking would be more than sufficient. It's just those larger events that we have that would make it a little more difficult. So, thank you.
I saw our environmental consultants, Kim Gennaro, is on. Did you have any questions as part of your review, Kim?
I don't have any questions right now. I will be submitting a formal memo, and I had a couple of comments on the EAF, but they're minor. And I just want to reiterate what the DEC did a come back during coordinated review just to confirm the potential presence of the northern long-eared bat. So there will be a clearing restriction on the window and when trees can be cleared. And the Suffolk County Department of Health, I'd like to reply to their comment letter as well, so we can understand what's happening with the open permits.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the Zoom audience? Okay, one last chance. Because we don't have all of the reports in, we will not be able to close the hearing today. So I'm going to recommend that we adjourn it until Monday night. And perhaps on Monday night, we will have gotten the CAC and planning board reports and go from there.
Planning- I was just saying, planning board said they should have the reports to us before the end of the week. They're thinking Thursday at the latest.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. So that concludes what we had for the special meeting. So we will close the special meeting, go back into the work session so that we can go into executive session to discuss a potential acquisition. All right, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.